Hare Krishna, Namaste, Chapter 17, which is entitled as Shraddha-traya vibhāga yoga, the three types of faith. Sloka 9. kaṭv-amla-lavaṇāty-uṣṇa tīkṣṇa-rūkṣa-vidāhinaḥ āhārā rājasasyeṣṭā duḥkha-śokāmaya-pradāḥ. In this sloka, those food which are liked by people in mode of passion is been mentioned. Kaṭv, bitter; amla, sour; lavana, salty; atyuṣṇa, very hot; tīkṣṇa, pungent, very spicy; rūkṣa-vidāhinaḥ, dry and burning; duḥkha, distress, suffering; śokā, inducing one to indulge in acts causing grief, misery; amaya, disease, sickness; pradāḥ, which produces; āhārā, foods; rājasasyeṣṭā, to one in the mode of passion; śṭā, dear. Translation: foods that are too bitter, too sour, salty, hot, pungent, dry and burning are dear to those in the mode of passion. Such foods cause distress, misery and disease. Before we get into the detail of this sloka, there is something to be noted here. The sloka says ati, lavanatyuṣṇa, ati-uṣṇa. Ati means very or extreme. Uṣṇa means hot. Ati-uṣṇa means extremely hot. Although ati is only used as prefix over here, we need to connect that ati to the other items that are mentioned in the sloka. That is, ati kaṭu rasaha, ati amla, ati lavana, ati tīkṣṇa, ati rūkṣa, ati vidāhinaḥ. That tells that nothing should be taken in excess or in its extreme condition. It should not be too bitter, too sour, too salty, too hot, and too pungent or too spicy. Otherwise, it may appear that the message is not to take any of those items which are bitter, sour, salty, hot, etc. We can consume them, but it cannot be in its extreme condition. Within this criteria, there are certain items which falls into one of these that's mentioned here should be totally avoided. So, the term kaṭv and amla do not refer to any particular substances, but only to the taste, bitterness and sourness respectively. As we mentioned earlier, Krishna is not giving a list of ingredients, is not giving a menu what to eat, but is just giving a classification by which we can understand what are sattvic, what are rajasic and what are tamasic. For example, lavana applies to the salty taste and not to salt per se. So, Shastra permits even the sattvic person to use small quantity of salt to add taste to the food, except on fasting days. But for that also we have found alternate salts on fasting days. We are so very skilled, we try to come up with some alternate methods, alternate ingredients. We try to make mostly any items that we want with alternate ingredients even on fasting days. We are forgetting that idea behind fasting is to control our senses, reduce our time in eating, and direct our senses fully in Krishna, engage in services. That is the idea. But we end up searching for alternate to eat even on days like Ekadashi. If we simply follow the instruction that's given in the Shastra, it for sure keeps our body healthy, also gives mental strength, keep us enthusiastic, energetic. So the point that is being made here is salt should not be contaminated, but how much salt we take makes a difference. Sometimes people add extra salt, and that is what is not advised. Sometimes people add extra spice, that is not good either. Some people have an habit of having an additional salt on the plate. Nowadays we have this salt and pepper small containers which can be added whenever it's needed. But Shastra says adding salt like that on a plate separately is equal to consuming cow's meat. Uṣṇa, Atyuṣṇa, very hot. There are people who like to have items very hot. For example, coffee, tea, so hot to even hold in one's hand, but they wear a gloves or even have some special glass holder which protects one's hand from getting burnt, but still they drink it. One may ask, what about cold items, which is not being mentioned in the Sloka? Well, we have to use our intelligence and understand when Krishna says no to very hot item, it applies same to the very cold items. If it is naturally cool, then there is no restriction to consume them. And if the food is warm in its natural state after cooking, then that can be consumed. Nowadays, this is not a problem for many because microwaves are there. How much ever heat we want, we can perfectly do it. We can make it warm, hot, or extremely hot. Even if the food was cooked 1 week back, we can make it as Krishna says, not too hot but just warm. We have all kinds of loopholes to find ways not to follow what the scripture says. Preheating of the food on the fire itself is not recommended. What to speak about microwave? tīkṣṇa. Shastra permits limited use of pepper and such pungent material to enhance the taste of the food. It should not be used too much. Pungent are those items which cause a variety of discomforts and pain from the start of eating. One may ask a question, if I should not eat too much, can I just add one or little quantity of onion? There are certain ingredients which are totally rejected in the Shastra, which means we cannot use them even little, namely onion, garlic, mushroom, white brinjal, item that has caffeine, alcohol, and many more. By eating such food, one develops more attachment and hankering. This we discussed in the 14th chapter, 7th sloka. Rajo rahatmakam viddhi trishna sanga samudbhavam. Such food produces duḥkha-śokāmaya-pradāḥ. It brings imbalance in the body and produces hardship. It produces sickness, distress. But this kind of food much dear to those of rajasic disposition, which will increase their rajoguna. So bitter, sour, salty, hot, pungent, dry and burning. They produce gas, bile and heat in the body, which leads to pain, indulging in acts leading to grief and producing sickness. In the next sloka, we will learn about those things which are loved by the tamasic person. kaṭv-amla-lavaṇāty-uṣṇa tīkṣṇa-rūkṣa-vidāhinaḥ āhārā rājasasyeṣṭā duḥkha-śokāmaya-pradāḥ. Namaste. Hare Krishna.